Good morning and welcome to World News, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Salia Strzemska. In the beginning of EU leaders who issued a statement on Ukraine after an emergency meeting of foreign ministers. Ahead of Friday's Trump-Putin summit in Alaska, they thanked Trump for working to end the war with Russia and urged that Ukraine be included in any peace talks. All EU member states, excluding Hungary, have signed the agreement.
The people of Ukraine must have the freedom to decide their future. The path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Ukraine. Meaningful negotiations can only take place in the context of a ceasefire or reduction of hostilities. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has wider implications for European and international security. We share the conviction that a diplomatic solution must protect Ukraine's and Europe's vital security interests. The European Union, in coordination with the U.S. and other like-minded partners, will continue to provide political, financial, economic, humanitarian, military, and diplomatic support to Ukraine, as Ukraine is exercising its inherent right of self-defense. It will also continue to uphold and impose restrictive measures against the Russian Federation.
And on that topic, we also have a soundbite from EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, who said Ukraine must be involved in any talks between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, warning that excluding Kyiv or Europe would damage American credibility.
The ability of Europe and Ukraine to influence the process is that any agreement must be agreed to by Ukraine or Europe. Otherwise, if Ukraine or Europe is not included in this agreement, then they simply shrug their shoulders. And it is not good for America and America's credibility if they, so to speak, agree to something that cannot be guaranteed to be fulfilled. Its fulfillment can only be guaranteed if Ukraine agrees to this agreement.
Russia wants some special rights over European security, which is unacceptable to any European country, said Latvian Foreign Minister Baiba Braže. She added that Latvia's current priorities are strengthening Ukraine's defensive capabilities, introducing further sanction packages, and maintaining the Euro-Atlantic unity.
Russia wants some special rights over European security, which is unacceptable to any European country, and the minister confirmed all of this. Therefore, the three main goals and next steps are, of course, to continue strengthening Ukraine's self-defense capabilities, because Russia is and will remain a threat to European and Euro-Atlantic security. The third goal is to ensure the weakening of Russia by working on further sanction packages, including those from America, and unequivocally maintaining the Euro-Atlantic political unity so that Russia does not succeed in dividing us.
Ukraine's military says it has advanced in the country's northeastern Sumy region, retaking 2 villages ahead of the U.S. Russia peace summit set for Friday. Ukraine's General Staff said on Tuesday evening that its forces had liberated the settlements of Stepne and Novokostiantynivka along the front line in Sumy. The gains follow news on Sunday that Kyiv's military had retaken the village of Bessalivka. Moscow's troops launched an offensive in Sumy earlier this year after President Putin ordered the creation of a buffer zone along the border. The development comes as Russian forces battle to push forward in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. According to Bloomberg, an oil refinery in Russia's Saratov region has halted oil intake following a Ukrainian drone attack. The facility has a processing capacity of 140,000 barrels of crude per day, meaning a long operational pause could significantly impact gasoline supplies. The Rosneft-owned refinery was hit by a drone on August 10th, with witnesses reporting a large fire and several explosions at the facility. The Saratov plant is the third Russian oil refinery to cut operations this month due to Ukrainian strikes. Reuters reports that the Ryazan refinery has halted its production, while the Novokubishevsk refinery completely halted it after August 2nd drone attacks. The shutdown comes as Russia tries to stabilize its domestic petrol market amid rising prices, likely worsened by Ukrainian attacks on its oil infrastructure. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha has said that the most effective way to stop Russia's ongoing invasion is through a united Europe. His remarks come after a large meeting of dozens of European allies on Monday and ahead of Friday's planned summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
My key message to European colleagues today is unity. It was our unity that destroyed Russia's plans in February 2022. We cannot allow Russia to destroy our unity now. Today, August 11th, it is exactly 5 months since Ukraine agreed on the U.S. proposal for a full ceasefire. For all this time, Russia has been imitating the peace process, twisting, manipulating, and throwing dust in our eyes. This is Putin's signature tactic and rules, one in which he excels. It is his scenario for continuing the war, avoiding sanctions and responsibility for crimes, and keeping power in Russia.
Just days before his planned meeting with Russian leader Vladimir Putin, President Trump seemed to confuse Russia with Alaska during a White House press conference on crime in Washington, D.C. Here's more.
It's an emergency. This is a tragic emergency. And it's embarrassing for me to be up here. You know, I'm going to see Putin. I'm going to Russia on Friday. I don't like being up here talking about how unsafe and how dirty and disgusting this once beautiful capital was.
Even though it was Trump who announced the meeting with Putin will be held in Alaska in a social media post, the U.S. president appeared to have confused the location twice.
Look, let's just do this. Let's do this. It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders.
Alaska was purchased from the Russian Empire in the 19th century, hence the possible mistake, unless there is something in the works that has not been revealed yet.
The Polish government has allocated over 700 million euro to enhancing cybersecurity and resilience this year. This comes amidst an increasing number of Russian hybrid warfare attacks targeting not only Poland, but also the Baltic states. Natalia Komarov has this report.
Poland's Ministry of Digital Affairs is planning massive investment in the country's cyber resilience. Over 700 million euros have been earmarked for a range of efforts, including a cybersecurity fund, incident response teams, and securing local as well as national government systems.
For a few years now, and especially since the beginning of the full-scale war in Ukraine, the cyber domain has been under the biggest pressure.
This comes just days after a Russian Space Force base located in a town called Pionierski in the Kaliningrad exclave was revealed as the source of GPS jamming over the Baltic Sea. Estonian media outlet Delfi has accessed technical documentation on Russian electronic warfare system Tobo. According to the documents, its installation in Pionierski was finalized between 2021 and 2023, which is also when major GPS interference began in the region.
We have noticed that spoofings and jammings are raised starting from after the Nord Stream pipe being blown.
The Tobo system is meant to protect Russian satellite communications from NATO attacks. However, in reality it seems to be used for offensive rather than defensive operations. Tobo can target Western systems, including Starlink, while Russian systems remain unaffected. It is also capable of spoofing GPS systems, which means it can send false location data to drones, airplanes and ships. Experts believe the system is still in its development stage, with data being collected, frequencies tested and reactions of NATO allies observed.
This is connected to several hybrid efforts that we're seeing right now. Someone wants to disrupt civil society and bother us here on this side of the Baltic Sea.
While the military is prepared to deal with Russian interference due to its use of alternate means of position fixing or timekeeping, it's impossible to protect civilian infrastructure from the jamming and spoofing.
There is no such thing like setting a clear electromagnetic barrier, let's say, on the border, so that the waves, radio waves, could actually stop on our border.
Poland is not the only affected country that is ready to spend big to counter the threat. For example, Estonia aims to increase its drone capabilities.
As a first decision, we can do this with 400,000 euros from the Broad National Defense Program.
But for many in the region, the GPS jamming is just a fact of life now. One Lithuanian pilot found a unique way to protect his devices.
You fold a box out of tinfoil, place your GPS unit inside, and some applications are then out of reach. They can no longer be interfered with.
As ingenious as it is, a more systemic solution might be needed in the future. For TVP World, Natalia Komarov.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has warned Russia not to think it can challenge other countries' borders with impunity. He also insisted that no agreements about Ukraine should be made without Ukraine at the table.
For Poland and our European partners, and I hope for all of NATO too, it must be clear that you cannot change borders with force. Russia's war on Ukraine cannot benefit Moscow because it's the aggressor. It is absolutely crucial to us for Russia to understand that the West, including European countries, will not accept Russian demands that simply amount to the seizure of Ukrainian territory. We all know, and this has been confirmed by the U.S. and other NATO allies, that Russia will pose a challenge or even a threat to the region, including Poland, over the next few years. Which is why we cannot allow for Russia to leave this conflict stronger and thinking it's allowed to breach borders and annex territories with impunity, and the world will just stand idly by.
On Monday, the Latvian army launched bastion exercises focused on building fortifications and blocking an aggressor's movements. In the Latgal region, soldiers will practice moving and installing barricades and bastions until August 22nd. As stated by the Latvian National Armed Forces, the aim of the exercise is to improve capabilities of engineer units to delay and limit the movement of the enemy. Apart from placing concrete blocks and bastions made of metal, mesh frame and filled with stones, soldiers are also drilling in the use of HESCO barriers. Last year, the Latvian army began storing thousands of heavy stones, reinforced concrete and metal elements for constructing anti-tank and anti-infantry barriers. It's a part of the Baltic Defense Line, which strengthens NATO's eastern flank and protects against invasion from Russia and Belarus. The United States and China have extended a tariff truce for another 90 days, delaying triple-digit duties on each other's goods. The extension was announced by Donald Trump early Tuesday morning on his Truth Social platform.
I have just signed an executive order that will extend the tariff suspension on China for another 90 days. All other elements of the agreement will remain the same. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
Migrants in Greece with rejected asylum claims will be required to wear ankle monitors as part of planned measures to speed up deportations. According to the country's migration minister, the measure is set to be implemented before the end of the year. The electronic monitoring of migrants would be enforced during a 30-day compliance period granted to migrants after their asylum claims have been rejected. The Greek government is also considering a deportation bonus of €2,000 for those who willingly comply with the new restrictions. The measures, which include mandatory jail terms for defying deportation orders, will be submitted to Parliament next month. The restrictions are a part of the Greek government's move to curb migration, including a recent ban on asylum claims for migrants arriving by sea from North Africa. And with this, we conclude our news bulletin. World Talks with Anna Kalczynska coming up next.